Hey there, all you quick street cuties. Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and episode 4 of Schmigadoon's second season was a treat. Incredible choreography, beautiful love songs, and an Annie Sweeney crossover to die for. This show has everything. This show is everything. I love it. And I'm here, as always, to break it all down for you as best I can. My pal Joey, aka Drunk Broadway, is here with his top 5 moments from this episode towards the end. I love his segments. And if you haven't checked out my first dance bonus breakdown with Schmigadoon choreographer Chris Gattelli yet, be sure to watch that after this. We talked about all the incredibly detailed choreography from episode 1 of this season, with some of the coolest references and even season 1 callbacks that certainly I missed the first time around. Episode 2 with Chris will be out soon, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified when that goes live. But there is so much awesomeness to get to this episode, so grab your Justice Cleavers and tell your daddy you'll call him back tomorrow, because now we're going to Schmicago.
I'm already on my way.
This 4th episode, titled Something Real, was written by the hilarious Raina Morris. A fairly new bright star to watch out for, Miss Morris is also a writer for the hit Netflix show Emily in Paris. Yes, I believe that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, Emily in Paris. The episode opens on our nefarious narrator giving us this beautifully sung little recap from last episode.
Once the verdict was read, to the bridge they both fled, but will they reach the other side?
You can spot an ad on the side of the building for Layton tailors and overalls, a nod to Mildred and Howard Layton from last season. We also saw an ad for Layton's last episode in the Judge's newspaper. Josh and Melissa's car has been vandalized with jazz being spray painted on its side, and later we'll see it's also been tagged on the back of the car too with jazz. Really gotta watch out for that jazz, man.
Aw, man!
Actually, if you already watched my bonus breakdown with Chris Gattelli, I showed some footage of a cut bit from the opening Welcome to Schmicago song, where the many white glove hands spelled out the word jazz, and sort of the lettering there with those hands looks very similar to the lettering here. So I suspect the narrator is the vandal here. Melissa doesn't take her own advice and gets into it a little with the narrator.
No, don't piss off the narrator.
She talks about how Schmigadoon was fun compared to the dark era they find themselves in now. She says Schmigadoon had pretty dresses and romantic tunnel of love rides and tap dancing children. Although technically Melissa wasn't present for it with all of your heart, but maybe she got her own tap dancing kids number we just didn't get to see.
Did I miss something? Was there a song?
And Melissa and Josh try in vain yet again to cross that bridge, and the narrator has this hilarious response.
And then Josh and Melissa realized they were still in Chicago. Wah, wah.
He then probably gets my favorite Welcome to Schmicago reprise so far this season.
Thought that you were clever, gonna be here forever.
It's so funny and gives me goosebumps, a beautiful combination. Josh and Melissa think that maybe not only do they need a happy ending, which they believe they've already achieved, but also a happy ending for the slew of miserable Schmicago residents as well. They go back to their room at the Hotel Schmicago and lay out these great little caricatures of each of the residents to map out their happiness. Great job to the Schmigadoon art department on those caricatures. I love them. If you listen closely, the wonderful Christopher Willis, who provides the amazing underscoring for Schmigadoon, adds these little musical phrases for each of the characters as they are talked about. So you can hear a bit of Dooley's butcher and his wife, then a bit of kaput, and then just a big deep boom for Krat. Very fun.
Dooley.
Dooley.
It's the butcher and Jenny's father. So he thinks getting revenge will make him happy.
There's also this great little line about not really knowing what year it is in Schmicago.
What year do you think this would even be?
I don't know, it's very unclear.
Now, not that this necessarily makes it canon, but I did find this picture of one of the close-ups of the ID tag on one of the pieces of evidence during Josh's trial last episode, and it does list the year as 1929, so take that for what you will. Jenny wakes up, still looking for that cigarette, and wearing the outfit Krat got her earlier this season. I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with the little laugh she gives here.
You are a pip.
It's the laugh of someone who always tries to be positive, but is also probably super hungover from drinking absinthe all night. Melissa attempts to talk to her about her father Dooley breaking the promise she made to him in the last episode.
Jenny has no idea I'm out of prison and back in town. And she must never know.
Got it.
What's really interesting is that the episode title is Something Real, and we get a lot of sort of real scenes. We had one with Josh and Melissa talking about happiness. You get this one here with Jenny talking about her father with brilliant acting from Dove Cameron. And there's several more real conversations later on in this episode, which is so great and really grounds this episode because we get some of our most bigger moments with the talk to daddy and the end good enough to eat, sort of really over the top, and then we have these really grounded moments. It's a really nice peak and valley system they got going in this episode. Great job to Raina Morris, Cinco Paul, and all the wonderful staff writers working on this show.
You guys are the real stars.
Jenny tries on this black fedora, a little nod to a similar hat being used in Mein Herr in the film version of Cabaret. And when Josh tries on the hat, Jenny mentions something to Josh about how he doesn't need hair, which gives Josh the idea to take Jenny to the hippie commune.
How would you like to go somewhere fabulous?
I'm already on my way.
I love Josh's little emphasis on the word fabulous because he really knows how to sell it. I also love Jenny's response, I'm already on my way. It's such a Sally Bowles thing to say. Now, up until now, we've sort of had three distinct areas of Schmicago. We have the kind of Chicago cabaret land with the club and its performers, and also Bobby and the whole law business. Then there's the Godspell hair area with the hippies, and finally the Annie Oliver Sweeney section with Quick Street and all of its denizens. And they've all been pretty separate, but in this episode, the worlds start colliding, which is fun, and there are some unexpected consequences from it too, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Topher says the prodigal son has returned and mentions someone should write that down. This is a great line with a fun link to last episode. The prodigal son was an actual parable in the Bible told by Jesus Christ to his followers. In the Bible, before Jesus tells the story of the lost son, he first tells the parable of the lost sheep. Not unlike the parable of the lamb without a flock last episode, but in the actual parable, it's from the shepherd's point of view, not the sheep's. What a deep and awesome cut. And then Topher meets Jenny. Electricity, electricity. I'm not sure it was entirely intentional then, though I would not put it past Cinco Paul. But in the episode 1 finale, Betsy and Danny, who hadn't really interacted at all previously, were dancing together there. So were Florence and Jorge, and Harada and Jaime Camille as well, and I know they will have a duet together later this season too. So just a nice fun little callback and foreshadowing last season to this one. Then they have the tribal meeting where Topher attempts to tell a parable, which he is going to make up on the spot with a very sort of whose line is it anyway acting school improv setup.
All I need is a suggestion. Could be a person, a place, an everyday object you'd find around the house.
I really love this ensemble of dancers and performers. It's so fun to see some of them as hippies for the first time here. I love that Warren Yang is there with that killer long hair right next to his sister Erica Hunter Yang, which is nice because the tribe is all about family and togetherness, you know? There's actually another real-life sibling duo in the tribe. These two here are Josh and Ashley St. John. I love it. Also, check out Julio Fuentes here with a fro to rival Topher's. I dig it. He actually showed the hair department a picture of his father from back in the day, and they make him look similar. I love that. You can also spot Julia Hartnett, one of the auditioners from episode 2, and Justine Guerra, who played the doomed Elsie in episode 1. I love seeing all these guys come back in this hippie scene. Topher starts to tell a parable about our Father up in heaven, of course another little nod to Topher being modeled after Jesus from Godspell, but then gets very annoyed when Josh and Melissa try to steer him into a parable to help Jenny connect with her estranged father. And then this happy Godspell Jesus goes full angry Jesus Christ superstar Jesus.
You guys just do it, since you seem to think you can do it better than me. Go ahead, I'm done, I'm done.
Who are you to criticize her? Who are you to despise Embrace her, leave her, leave her. Let her be now, leave her, leave her. She's with me now. When your slate is clean, then you can throw stones. If your slate is not, then leave her alone.
And Topher storms off, leaving Josh to lead the parable. And this brings us to the bop that is Talk to Daddy.
Talk to daddy, talk to daddy. He will rock you when you are sad. He isn't ideal, but you need to heal. So talk to daddy, talk to daddy now.
So this earworm of a song is really mostly two of my favorite numbers from Sweet Charity sort of mashed together. The first major influence is the song Rhythm of Life.
Flip your wings and fly to daddy. Flip your wings and fly to daddy.
There are so many amazing callbacks to the song itself, but also to the staging in the film version of Charity, which for this song was led by Sammy Davis Jr. in the film, and it's honestly one of the best filmed musical sequences of all time. I said what I said. Here's a few examples of the similarities.
Daddy spread the gospel in Milwaukee, took his walkie-talkie to Rocky Ridge. Odds are you are gonna outlive him, so you really ought to forgive him. Daddy was a concession, good sensation, got his own congregation, with a bit of moderation. Odds are you are gonna outlive him, so you really ought to forgive him.
The other major Sweet Charity number repped here is the iconic Rich Man's Frug, a three-part mega dance that is peak Fosse. I'm definitely going to be dissecting this whole number's choreography with Chris Catelli in a future video, so I won't get too much into it here, but there are a few clear homages in the song. Here are a few. With the Frug, Fosse brilliantly skewered the hip, rich, urban crowd with these exaggerated, wacky, but still sort of sexy dances as only Fosse could do. He did a similar thing actually in the musical Little Me he choreographed in 1962, but poking fun at rich, bratty kids in the number Rich Kids Rag.
It's great to learn.
Because knowledge is power.
Also, the very beginning with the stories about Pretty Penny and Loco Lenny are definitely little nods to The Story of Lucy and Jessie from Stephen Sondheim's Follies from 1971.
Here is what I know about Loco Lenny. Was low on the dough, well he hadn't any.
A story that should make you cry about two unhappy dames. Let us call them Lucy X and Jessie Y, which are not their real names.
A few fun moments I'm obsessed with to point out here. First, this actually brilliant mutter, 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 father line. Father. So I think it's a little nod to a future decade, 1982's Merrily We Roll Along by Stephen Sondheim, which features this famous lyric.
And he goes mutter, 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 yes, Jerome, mutter, no, Jerome, mutter, 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 that's his lawyer, Jerome, mutter, 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 mutter.
Also, I cannot get over Dove Cameron's reactions to the song happening around her. I hope at some point she speaks about filming that number, because I bet it was so hard not to like groove out and really get into it. But her reactions are priceless. I love when she does this, like, you know, dance. It just kills me. Also, at one point, everyone has sock puppets on and is dancing with them. Hysterical. I can't wait to talk to Chris Catelli about this sequence on the bus, because it must have been a beast to do, but probably really fun to execute. I do wonder how much bonking of heads happened at this part though. We need a blooper reel, Apple TV Plus.
Thank you!
This, by the way, is not the happiness bus. That was this brightly colored VW Bug. This is actually the love bus, so you know, get it straight. The song doesn't succeed in bringing Jenny any closer to her father, but she does get closer to Topher. I love the narrator's line here, so funny.
Let's spend a little time with a younger, much more appealing couple.
Hey. Jenny goes to see the angry boy in the tent, and you can see to the side that Topher has a mug with a T on it. And then Jenny says this about the face paint.
Well, I just adore your little commune you have going here. It's all so free-spirited and fabulous. The dirty bare feet and the haphazardly applied face paint, it's just too.
Is she unknowingly taking a little dig at Topher here?
I could try painting it again. Can never get the eyes right.
Don't worry, you're doing the best you can, Topher. And we are gifted not only this very touching scene between Topher and Jenny that I was not expecting, really beautiful work from those two actors there, but also this episode's title song, Something Real.
Touch my hand and I am real and feels like this is something real.
What a beautiful song. It does sort of have a love song from Pippin feel to it. That's the name of the song, by the way, in Pippin, love song.
Private little jokes and silly pet names.
Lavender soap and lotion.
All of the cliches and all of the games.
And all of the strange emotions.
One of my favorites, actually. But this, it's really its own standalone song, and I ain't mad at it. Single Paul was recently a guest on Richmond Till We Die, an excellent Ted Lasso podcast, where he had this to say about the song.
There's a love duet in episode 4. It's a song that I actually wrote the melody of when I was like 19. And it's always sort of stuck with me because I was very enamored of Stephen Schwartz. So it's very much in his style. But when I watched them singing that song, I was like, oh my gosh, 19-year-old Cinco, his mind would be blown right now. This little song that he wrote is now being performed by Dove Cameron and Aaron Vade in the show on Apple TV. It's crazy.
I just love that. Josh and Melissa love it too and figure maybe, like last season, love is the key to happiness. Josh suggests setting up dancers Ronnie and Jared, but they don't need so much help.
Ronnie and Jared are currently having sex in that old refrigerator.
Oh. Love is in the air.
And Melissa suggests getting Miss Caldwell and Dooley Blight together. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? I also just love that we leave this scene affirming that, though the times are hard and the couple are struggling with finding happiness, they are still very much each other's true love. Josh and Melissa then head over to Quick Street and Josh gets to experience the door squeak from hell.
Yeah, it does that.
Let's talk for a second about Melissa's costumes. I had a line in last week's breakdown that I ended up cutting. Here it is. Melissa's outfit definitely gives me some Barbra Streisand funny girl vibes. Did anyone else get that? I cut it because I couldn't really find any pictures at the time that went well with the costume, so I thought maybe I was wrong. Big mistake.
Big mistake. Big. Huge.
Because Cinco Paul has since confirmed that Melissa's looks are inspired by Barbara in Funny Girl. But for this episode, Melissa's outfits definitely seem like a nod to Barbra Streisand in a different movie musical. This black and white outfit here in the beginning definitely reminds me of this outfit from the film version of On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. And this orange look here in this scene is straight out of On a Clear Day. If you don't know On a Clear Day You Can See Forever, it's this bonkers musical that opened on Broadway in 1965 about a woman who goes to a psychiatrist and has all these past lives that surface while under the doctor's hypnosis, and the psychiatrist ends up falling in love with one of those past selves. It's wild, but there's some great songs in it. Actually, the protagonist in that musical is named Daisy Gamble. Gamble sounds a lot like Gimble, Melissa's last name, and Daisy, being the name of Dooley Blight's late wife, is also a little nod to On a Clear Day You Can See Forever.
Hey, and if you don't know, now you know.
Melissa asks Dooley how he is, and he hilariously replies,
The world is crawling with the maggots of humanity's failure. No light can shine through the layers of evil. Weather's pretty good.
I think that it's a little nod to one of Sweeney's more colorful bits of lyrics.
There's a hole in the world like a great black pit, and it's filled with people who are filled with shit, and the vermin of the world inhabit it.
We see that Dooley's filler is no longer mostly from the miller, unless he meant sawmill. Oh God. And Melissa and sort of Josh convince Dooley to double date with them and Miss Codwell at the Crack Club. Dooley has indeed cleaned up nice and is wearing his one nice suit. He's wearing the exact same suit in the old family portrait from last episode. This whole date scene is equal parts hysterical and creepy. It's perfect. Alan Cumming and Kristen Chenoweth have such great chemistry.
Chemistry?
Yeah, chemistry.
The pair have coupled up before on screen, ironically in the Disney made-for-TV film version of Annie from 1999. Mr. Cumming played Rooster and Miss Chenoweth Lily St. Regis.
I'm named after the hotel.
And Joanne makes a vocal cameo. I'll take it. I love her.
Wonderful knife.
You handle it well.
And on the walk home from the date, there are all these umbrellas hanging up in the air, a nod to the French musical film, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. And then Dooley goes in for a nightcap, and holy crap, you guys, they go there. When I was watching it for the first time with my wife, we looked at each other and both were like, they're not gonna really, right? But they do. Mixing Sweeney Todd and Annie turns out as horrific as you'd hope. After realizing that Miss Codwell has too many orphans and Dooley has too little meat, yeah, they're gonna Sweeney those kids.
Oh no.
Then they launch into the final song of this episode. Holy moly. There are actually lots of references to various musical theater songs here. First off, we start with a bit of Worst Pies in London / Worst Brats in Town reprise.
Mr. Blight, you are in for such a treat. I have got some little dolls, darling sprouts, hereabouts, that I love for you too, mate.
Once the Kill People for Meat plan is set in Sweeney, they also sing a similar reprise.
Business never better using only pussycat and toast. And a pussy's good for maybe 6 or 7 at the most. And I'm sure they can't compare as far as taste.
Mrs. Lovett, what a charming notion,
Well,
eminently
it does
practical and
seem
yet
our
appropriate.
Then we fully get into Good Enough to Eat, which in the beginning is a clear homage to A Little Priest from Sweeney Todd. Miss Codwell and Dooley make delicious puns and rhymes with various meats and the orphans' names.
Have you any ham?
Oh, courtesy of Sam.
How about veal?
Yes, thanks to Camille.
In Sweeney Todd, Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett bask in the brilliance of their murderous plan and imagine dishes based on people's professions.
What is that?
It's fop, finest in the shop. And we have some shepherd's pie peppered with actual shepherd on top. And I've just begun. He's a politician so oily, he'd served with a doily. Not one.
Put it on a bun. Well, you never know if it's going to run.
The wordplay with the kids' names was so great. Cinco Paul truly is a master. In case you missed any the first time, let's go through them all quickly. We've got ham from Sam, veal from Camille, kidney from Sydney, belly from Kelly, lamb from Pam. For ground beef, we've got Patty or Chuck, one of my favorite little lines, mutton from Sutton, foie gras from Francois, bologna from Tony, salami from Tommy, Reuben for pastrami, and instead of mincemeat, we've got Vince meat. Genius. What more can I say? I love that Francois has a baguette, because, I don't know, French. And also Sutton, that young actress is Bijou Bratson, who played Betsy's younger sister Tootie in season 1. Yet another returning Schmigadoonian. A fun season 1 callback here, the brilliantly funny badges Miss Codwell places on the kids that say well done and rare are the exact same design and colors of the buttons Mayor Menlove would give out for his campaign last season.
Who doesn't love buttons?
The song then morphs into this light-hearted, jaunty number.
I confront a world that's boiling with the sweetest smiles you've ever seen. Oh, they're good enough to eat.
Delicious! Which feels like equal parts Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile from Annie.
So senator, so janitor, so long for a while. Remember, you're never fully dressed without a smile.
And Be Back Soon from Oliver.
Cheerio, but be back soon. I don't know, somehow I miss you. I love you, that's why I say cheerio. Not good Friday.
It's so funny. I just love how sort of gung-ho the kids all are to be food. I laughed out loud so hard when the kids put their heads down on their plates with those big smiles and winks. Hysterical. There's some fun things around the orphanage to point out. There's of course the giant painting of Miss Codwell with the ruler. I hope Miss Chenoweth got to keep that. Though in a Schmigadoon museum, it would go great with the Mayor Menlove as Blue Boy portrait from last season. There's also a sign behind Dooley that reads, "Gruel is good." Gruel is the food of choice, of course, for the Oliver orphans. Also maybe a little nod to Greed is good from Wall Street, though maybe not. I don't know how Wall Street fits into Schmigadoon, but...
Why do those crazy kind of thoughts keep running through my head?
Another harder to see sign says life isn't fair. And then, thanks to Cinco Paul, we have these close-ups of two others from the set. One that says strife builds character, and another that says tribulation is your lot. Besides these being hilarious, non-motivational posters to have in an orphanage, these are also great callbacks to last season and Kristen Chenoweth's character Mildred Layton, who would whip the town into a frenzy saying this.
There's gonna be some tribulation and strife.
There are also a bunch of other musical references in this number. You can hear a bit of Put on a Happy Face from Bye Bye Birdie here. This fun soft shoe dance break is a bit of Hard Knock Life. I'm sure you all caught that. There's also this section here. Musically, it sounds like Sondheim's Follies. And the spinning leaves around Miss Chenoweth are a nod to the Chicago girls doing that around Billy Flynn. And it ends just like Never Fully Dressed. I'm obsessed that the orphans say truth instead of truth.
Don't mean to be presumptuous, but truth is we are scrumptious.
It just tickles me for some reason. Now, I'm leaving most of the choreography discussion for the forthcoming dance breakdown with Chris Gattelli, but I did want to mention a brilliant dance Easter egg that I spotted. So this move the kids do here at the end is pulled directly from a musical number from Promises, Promises, a number called Turkey Lurkey Time. Not only is it an iconic dance number, especially within the musical theater community, but it's also referencing yet another type of meat. Genius.
How did they come up with this stuff?
And Josh and Melissa give themselves a big old pat on the back for a job well done. And our all-knowing narrator gives us one more hysterical look to the camera before this brilliant transition to the credits using a bit of Talk to Daddy. Well done, editors. I see you. What did you guys think of this episode? It went there, and I am here for it. But for his top 5 moments from this week, let's check in with Joey McDaniel, aka Drunk Broadway. Joey?
Hi, I am Joey Drunk Broadway McDaniel, and just like Into the Woods, we've had a happy ending for Act 1. Only, of course, not really. So let's get into Act 2 of Schmigadoon with another Thank You 5. I honestly haven't given enough love to our narrator. Titus's every choice is sublime. The fourth wall breaking is great, of course, but his looking just off camera, sort of creeper style, the vocal pyrotechnics, the hilarity, and the glee in his face when Josh and Melissa are having a bad time, it's absolutely fabulous. I did love that Josh and Melissa actually confronted him today when he insinuated that they were maybe the older, less attractive couple. Thank you, Titus. Let's talk about playing the real emotion, even in a silly plot. One of my favorite directors, Janie Scott, taught me that you can bring a humanity to even the silliest of shows, and that little bit of humanity can give the audience a connection to what otherwise might be just total and complete fluff. And Cecily and Dove and others in this episode really brought a couple of dead earnest moments that made me terribly happy. And I want to say thank you to the director of this episode, Alice Matthias, for giving us that truth and that beauty. Thanks, Alice. 5-alarm alert, we have a frug. I repeat, we have a frug. The bent wrists, the dangerous angles of human bodies, the camera movements, the little punch from Jenny, the phones, the horns, the everything. The I didn't know bodies could bend that way. It's all here, and it has me ready to talk to Daddy. And a little extra cheeky cheat thank you to Aaron for starting us off with another JCS moment. It was mwah. Thank you, Cinco, for writing a beautiful take on Love Song for Jenny and Topher, and for making me forget I was having a less than stellar day. It's amazing how musicals can take you away, if only for a little while, and make you feel something real. Thank you, Dooley and Codwell. Is there a couple named Duell or Codley? Which do you prefer? Either way, I absolutely could not believe that you made me snort, giggle, laugh, and happy sigh almost at the exact same time, and I'll drink to that. Speaking of drinking, I saw a kid using a shaker, but then I only saw what looked like gin in a glass. Friends, Bond was wrong. If there's no juice, there's no egg white. You can go ahead and just stir that to make it cold. Not the point. The little priest with a little bit of Annie and Oliver and even Bye Bye Birdie sprinkled in for love was transcendently wonderful. I mean, it was perfection. And that starts with P and that rhymes with T and that stands for thank you. Only 2 more episodes. That's all the time we've got. Just 2 more shows to tie up the entire plot. So, until next week, cheers, friends.
Do you think Dooley will go through with his dastardly plan? What consequences from Topher and Jenny's new relationship do you think might pop up next episode? Let me know in the comments. I love reading your guys' thoughts and predictions. Be sure you subscribe so you won't miss the next episode breakdowns or any of my dance breakdowns with choreographer Chris Gatelli. They are so much fun, and if you're a Schmiga nerd like me, they are fascinating. You won't believe the thought and the history that Chris imbues into each of these numbers. It's really spectacular. If you enjoyed this video and found some value in it, please hit that like button. Not only does it please the YouTube algorithm gods, but it lets me know that you guys are actually enjoying this content and want more. I do have several connections to some amazing cast and crew members, and I could probably finagle an interview if you guys are interested, so let me know. A lot of you have reached out and inquired about my different shirts I've worn on these breakdowns. There is a link in the description if you do want to go check them out, and it does support this channel if you do decide to pick one up. Of course, you can follow me over at bwayghostlight, and if you want to go one step further in helping this channel, you can check out my Patreon page. There are some fun perks over there. I'll be posting some great Schmigadoon content there soon. And a huge special shout out to my producers level patrons. You guys are most certainly good enough to eat. But until next time, I'm Mark Bonanni. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for watching. I gotta go call my father.